The next session, post the morning breakfast, which is the Autonomous Cyber AI and ML Revolutionizing Cyber Defense panel. A very interesting topic, something which we have not yet touched in so far the last 5 panel discussion sessions which we have heard since yesterday. Before I call on stage the honorable panel members, few points of discussion would like to highlight in front of you, which this panel would be discussing on. How AI in cybersecurity can help stop cyber attacks. Is AI changing the cybersecurity industry? What AI and machine learning can do for cybersecurity and many more. So with that, please help me welcome our honorable panel members in the order of the sequence with a big round of applause. Joining us first, Mr. Samir TK, Head Information Security, Governance and Security Operations Center from South Indian Bank. A big round of applause to Shamir. Shamir ji, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat. Joining next, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Awale Ajay, Head of IT from Aquapharm Chemicals. A big round of applause to Mr. Awale. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. Joining next, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Ghancha, CISO from DSP Mutual Fund. A big round of applause to Fal. Fal, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat. Joining next on the panel, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Raje, Director and CIO from HealthAssure. A big round of applause to Ninad. Ninad, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat. Joining next, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Amey, Subhash, Lakeshri, Director from Ernst & Young LLP. A big round of applause to Amey. Amey, welcome back. Glad to have you again in the panel. Please have your seat. And our honorable moderator, Mr. Arjun Bhaskaran, Managing Director, Finpro Technologies Private Limited. A big round of applause to Arjun ji. Arjun ji, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat. So, gentlemen, here's wishing the panel super success, and Arjun ji, all over to you. Looking forward to a great session.
Good morning to all. So I'm looking forward to an exciting interaction with this eminent panel. So on this topic of AI in cybersecurity, we are entering very uncharted waters. So everyone is learning on the fly, and everyone else is looking forward to learning from your experiences too. Okay. So I would begin with Mr. Shamir. Yes. So you can probably throw light on what is your perspective on how AI is enabling cybersecurity in general, and also what is your organizational perspective, your personal perspective in how this could contribute to your.
Yeah. Good morning. As far as we are concerned, I will just give you a quick introduction of how our journey towards this particular point of time we are now right now. We started the IT journey earlier in 2000, 2001, and many fold refreshment in hardware, software, everything has happened. Then now we are running a SOC for the last 7-8 years. And in the SOC also, we have implemented a number of solutions, etc., etc. Now, he's talking about the...
Hold it close.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. About what are the solutions we have implemented. Right now, I will quote a classic example. Just 2 years back, if you are going through a financial transaction, that particular transaction unfortunately not gone through, then the reverse credit you may be getting after few days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days time, right? Nowadays you are getting the reverse credit immediately. Why that is happened? Why that is happening? Just because of we have implemented so much of automation each and every front, and each and every all this particular automation done through various programming AI driven programs we have implemented. That is why we are getting the credit on the same moment itself. Okay. Now I just want to add few more points for obtaining or for achieving this particular status quo. We need to implement various solutions in various fronts, either in the network front and also in the database side. All this particular location we have implemented many solutions. That is why we are getting that particular credits. As far as I just introduced myself. My name is Shamir. I am heading the SOC operations of South Indian Bank and running this SOC for now 7-8 years. And as far as my experience is concerned, AI is an enabler, and that particular the AI and the ML adding with the various solution, the traditional solutions, and also the other new modern next generation solutions, enabling us to do our work easy. That's my take on.
But in cybersecurity, what is your specific perspective for your bank, and how are you approaching for that? AI you told in general, but for cybersecurity?
In specifically, what are the various layers, layer 2 to 7, we need to check what's happening inside the particular different layers. And we need to implement the appropriate solutions to identify the flow, the packets inside the particular layers, and check whether any manipulation is happening inside that particular thing. That we need to check first, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And also any offense, etc. is triggering, now we need to attend properly. Without the proper justification, we can't be able to stop that particular thing, right? We need to check further, dig further, and my analyst has to do everything in detail. And of course, this particular AI solution is providing the security analyst job somewhat easy. But altogether, what I want to say is, the AI implementation, that is comprising of some kind of a mathematics and some kind of programming, and also some kind of analytics. And finding this particular issues or the offenses in time, real time, we need to get the all data from various endpoints, various elements, whether it is a router, switches, and in the endpoints. All this particular location, we need to capture data and analyze the particular data properly. And if anything is found, we need to act immediately. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I would go to Ghancha. So can you throw light on what do you see are the specific use cases or applications for AI? And
sure. I would like to talk. Can you hear me? Okay. I would like to talk about the AI journey, but let's talk about the earlier journey before AI, right? So we used to have, let's say, we put a device in the environment like firewall, we create rules, source, destination, and the machine works, right? It works forever the way you have configured it. However, if you compare AI or ML, technically you'll have to train it, right? Technically, that machine or the machine learning algorithm or AI need to mature in your organization, right? Compare with Alexa, right? Anyone uses Alexa at home, right? So now when first day you say, hello Alexa, technically it understands your language, right? It will not throw anything to you, but it will understand how you speak. Then next day you say, Alexa, play Arjun Singh song for me. Now, that way Alexa will understand that you are a, let's say, song lover. However, let's say after a month or so, when you say, Alexa, play Bollywood songs, technically by default, Alexa will play Arjun Singh, because that understands your behavior. AI and ML works great in the outside world. However, until it hits your rules, until it actually understands your ecosystem, it will not function well. So the idea is, if you only integrate your ecosystem, let's say SIEM or SOC, if you integrate only firewall, the AI ML will only understand rules, source, destination, that's it. However, while you integrate further with your ecosystem like XDR of the world or any virus of the world and other systems, it will further tell you what to do. I mean, so far what I've seen over the period of time, the maturity model, it will give you some options. And as a CISO, as a probably defender, you will have to actually take call, to take some decisions. However, it's a maturity journey. You can't say that day one, like firewall, AI ML will function the way you expect, right? I'll cover other points during my further journey, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Nirath, I'll go to you. How would you look at the AI from your company or your industry standpoint, and how are you approaching it?
Well, thank you so much. Firstly, let me thank everybody and Cynics group for having us in this particular panel, along with the elite group of panelists here. I'll just kind of briefly talk about the AI's role in cybersecurity, right? That is something which we really are keen to understand as well. Yes. Before we get into the journey of AI, let's also understand what exactly is AI. And let me try to provide you some, I'll narrate an anecdote, which is in real life, which is very close to you and I at heart as well. Now imagine there is, of course, for those who are married here and have wives and those who have girlfriends and boyfriends, right? Imagine a situation wherein, and this is close to, I'm sure all men will relate to this, right? We don't understand what women think, to be very honest, right? And we don't understand when women are upset, and why they are upset. So imagine a situation wherein either your boyfriend, girlfriend, they're upset, and you don't know what to do, and what is the reason for that. And imagine if there's a divine force, which I call it intuition, which tells us what should be done and how do we prevent it. And now let's equate that to the cybersecurity and AI function. Now AI is that your divine force of intuition, wherein it first of all understands, it kind of goes through all the data sets, all the environment that you have. It then also tries to protect you from things from happening, and then it also prevents all these cyber attacks and malware to come and ransomware to come inside your system. So basically it's the intuition which tells you what should be done, how it should be done, and in some instances if it is appropriately sort of implemented and installed in the environment, it will also do what you're supposed to do itself autonomously. That's the topic of discussion today for autonomous, right, for AI. So having said that, it's all about understanding the pattern, training the AI to understand the pattern, and to also make sure that not only it detects, but it also prevents from things from happening before it happens, right? So that is something which I would suggest that's the real role of AI. And I'm not suggesting at any point in time wherein AI is going to substitute humans, right? It is going to be, it is your friend, it is your buddy, in making sure that it's, you'll be able to adopt, you'll be able to implement, and you'll be able to prevent and protect your systems and your network from malicious attacks. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll go to Ajay next. Okay. So can you throw light on how you are approaching the AI in cybersecurity?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, my name is Ajay Awale. So I belongs to Aquapharm Chemicals, which is a manufacturing of chemicals into water treatment. So now being into manufacturing, I think we have a closed loop basically. So there is no outskirts opening for the internal people on the internet, or it's limited, that kind of thing. I mean, traditionally it is happening like that, but today I think everything is changed. So internet is our backbone, and all outports are open, or you can use various portals or various applications like that. So cyber security is the primary objective of any manufacturing organization, majorly when they have their operational technology in place, like OT, for example. Yeah. So for me, I think AI plays a vital role, of course. It's not only into cyber security, but in all the aspects of the business processes, basically. And for us, we have experienced AI into sales processes, majorly. Like, for example, predictive forecasting of the sales prices, or it may be, the quantity or volume, or next consignment of the customers. And how it does, in fact, so of course it has, a specific algorithm written in the language of Python. People map the behavior of the customers. If you have a 10 years data, then you can see the seasonality of the customers and then how they buy, etc. And you predict something. So that's how a small role of AI comes into picture in terms of, Python language or something like that. So those small cases are quite related to AI into manufacturing. But here, I think the topic is the autonomous AI. Now here, the major difference is the AI takes the complete control. I mean, the entire governance inbuilt is into AI. So there is no upper hand on the AI. Okay. So for example, in earlier traditional security areas, one administrator who looks into all the dashboards, alerts, and then take action onto each alert and all. But when you talk about autonomous, then of course the entire governance goes to AI. AI takes its own decision and then acts like that. So whether it's right or wrong, of course, I mean, gradually if it adapts the behavior, the entire thing, then of course it is good. It has to have ample of data, ample of measurements, then it will act better. But if it is, dealing with a little less technology, less coding, or less data, then it's dangerous also, I mean. So that's how it's situated. And manufacturing normally takes steps little late. It experiences the market or the world, and then it steps into such kind of technologies, basically. But yeah, I mean, AI is the future, definitely. That's it.
Okay. Coming to Amey, see, there's a prediction that the world market for AI in cybersecurity is going from 7.58 billion in 2022 to 80 billion in 2030. Okay. So this is a forecast for the global market. How do you see the trajectory in India? Do you see, will it have a similar offtake, or are we ahead or behind? What do you think?
I think absolutely. Hi, my name is Amey. So I do agree with that. Numbers may vary, right? But yeah, it's kind of a right projection. Even by 2025, it will be 3x of what you're saying, right? And if you see, whenever we go, we hear new terms by Gartner, right? Banks or the different FS sectors are the first one to adopt the different new technologies, but now the trend has changed since 2020. And every other sector is investing a lot into the AI/ML. If you go and see, all the products must have written AI/ML on that, right? There is a reason for that, because the adoption is much, there is demand. There is demand for that, right? Even banks I have seen, they want to automate their 90% of their work by AI itself, right? Like we'll see chatbots coming, etc. There are pros and cons into that, improvements into that. But definitely looking at that, even when I spoke to a few CISOs earlier, last year, and I asked some questions that you have so many products, but what do you actually want to achieve? And they are like, our pain point is we need actionable insights, right? Because they don't have time to go every day to open SIM or open different products or go to different Excels or look after the different reports which are coming, right? Now what they need, a dashboard for them, which is continuously being on a real time getting generated. And that's where autonomous kind of cyber AI will definitely help. Where you have a people process technology kind of controls, where you have different tools implemented, giving you good inputs, and there is something on top of that with the intelligence, which is continuously improving, giving you good insights. Now it reduces the operational time around 30 to 40% of the CISOs, right? That's what the expectation would be in next 2 to 3 years, definitely. And I believe a lot of different leaders are already on that, right? We see the tech companies going with the open AI, right? I'm the Marvel fan, so we have seen Vision, Chavez, etc. Okay, we get fascinated by that particular different technologies and things. But that is real, right? We can do that. We can achieve that, right? If I see the positive side of that, right? There are negative side of that, as you said. It may take over, and there might not be some. There may be some decisions which may be not like the human may take, for sure, and it is a kind of assistant. But please understand, if you don't adopt that, definitely there are a lot of things coming. You cannot address 10 lakhs events in a day. Attacks will also keep on increasing when your AI is adoption is going on, right? Then how will you handle that after 2 years, 3 years down the line, right? It's simple, as simple as that. We see metro is coming in the Mumbai, right? Why it is coming? Looking at the adoption of cars is increasing, the people are increasing, the travel is increasing, so we need different mediums to achieve that. Similarly, we need automation, we need AI/ML to improve the operations itself. So idea is not to reduce the human work, but idea is to automate and adopt more and more, productivity. That must be a positive side of AI/ML, which I feel.
Thank you, Amey. And I would like to go to each of the panelists. I want you to dwell upon for this year. Say the audience is also looking for actionable insights on how to approach this problem and probably how they can navigate in their own organization. So how are you, what's your priorities for AI in cybersecurity in 2023? And how are you approaching? What's the pain point? What's the priority? What would you like to achieve? Okay. And how you plan to go about doing that? Okay. So if you can start with Ninath, okay, or and Falkut.
Sure. So I would like to address this challenge in 2 ways, right? So in cybersecurity, obviously cybersecurity is complex. Those days they gave us firewalls and then some years later, they gave us next generation firewalls, and then next generation, and then AI and MLs of the world, right? I mean, measuring the success of each device or each solution is difficult. Now what we have done is we have divided this area into two parts. One is what you can solve, right? So let's say typical problems like antivirus or XDRs of the world or firewalls, we solve it without AI, right? Technically, you don't need AI for that. However, to give us more comfort, let's say from a dark web world, I mean, someone says your data is available in dark web, who goes, where to check? No one knows. I mean, someone can claim that your data is there everywhere, and then we are like silent, we don't know what to do. So what we do is, to handle all the traditional things, all the non-AI things helps. However, for latest thing, like let's say dark web monitoring of the world, or let's say SOAR capabilities of the world, then we try to model it in a way where the technology can help us to give us some ideas. Now imagine AI and ML will never give you short answers, right? You have a problem, they'll give you answer. This will never work. AI and ML will give you some rational numbers, some subjective numbers, where a CISO or a defender will have to actually take decision. So AI, ML, let's say if you have large number, my friend have already just touched upon that. If you have, let's say, 1 lakh ticket a day, I mean, no one can actually see that ticket. However, if you want to see the trend out of it, let's say in your environment, if virus issues are increasing, let's say increase every day by 10,000, then you might have to spend a lot on the antivirus side of it. If you see a lot of web attacks, like web application firewall attacks on your website, you'll have to spend more time on the external world. So I would see that AI and ML actually help us to take the decision faster. However, the decision has to be taken by a human.
What are you planning for this year?
Yeah,
are you
so
planning to?
Two things, I was about to add that. Two things. I've touched upon the dark web kind of world where no one really is sure, but the result will be relative. Someone will probably say, okay, my data is available or not available. B, kind of automation capabilities where, let's say you have SOC team of 30, 40 members monitoring your ecosystem 24/7. How many manpower you keep on adding? There's no end to it. Okay. So that's the second use case we are trying to explore.
Great, okay. Anida?
Yeah, thank you. I think I completely agree with Fal here. From our perspective, and since you asked a question about what are we trying to do this year itself, right? So there are a couple of aspects here. One being ensuring that since more and more of our workloads, the technology infrastructure workloads are moving towards the hyperscaler environment, which is AWS and so on and so forth, right? The cloud infrastructure. So our aim and objective for this year is to how do we secure our cloud environment. So earlier, in the earlier stages where it was probably on-prem, and we had the appropriate controls in picture, but the moment we shift our workloads to cloud environment, the entire ballgame changes. And here on, we have to make sure that our organization is protected from not only internal, but really public domain, external sort of malicious intent people as well, right? So be it ransomware, be it malware, be it any kind of attacks that because the on-prem controls are not going to help us ensuring our protection and prevention from the external world when we migrate to sort of the cloud infrastructure. So that's the first priority that we have, because they are totally two different, and I can go on and on in terms of what is the difference between the on-prem and the cloud security as well. So that's the first priority for our organization as such, and more industries are looking into this anyway. The second aspect is, as we have seen in the past and the present, and of course in the near future as well, since more and more automation is kicking in from the infrastructure standpoint, there is more focus on security elements, and from that standpoint, there is a dearth of, or rather scarcity of, security professionals around, right? So our aim and objective for this year is to ensure that in order for us to select, implement, and install the appropriate tools and mechanisms of AI and ML cybersecurity tools, but they have to be appropriate people, and those people have to be appropriately trained on those tools and those functionalities to ensure that there is appropriate protection of risk for our organization. So the training is very, very important, and that's what we are kind of really looking into for this particular year. Of course, this is going to help us in the future as well, because on the other hand, you have the appropriate cloud security measures in place, and you have the appropriate staff or professional and experts to manage, maintain, protect, and since Amey mentioned about dashboards, right? So yes, AI and ML tools will be able to provide you a lot of dashboards that, however, you need appropriate trained professionals to interpret what it is showing. And once you interpret it, analyze it, then you need to take action upon it, right? So these are the elements that the trained professionals are required to be doing, and hence we are going to we are already on the path of embarking onto the investments in training as well.
Thank you. Mr. Shamir, so what are you looking at? Is it task automation or knowledge consolidation, better response? What's your priorities and what are you going to implement this year?
Yeah, all these particular points he has mentioned is already we have implemented. But actually, I want to say that many of our organizations are not touch upon the endpoints. Endpoints is not taken care properly. Okay. So every organization right now needs to protect your each and every endpoint, and that the many of the ransomware cases reported last 1 year or 2 years is starting from the endpoint. One phishing mail may be coming to that particular endpoint. The unaware employee clicked on that particular link. That's the starting point, and the problem start from there itself. How to protect that particular thing, how to ensure that each and every employee in all of our organizations are well aware of these kind of things. This is one of the main point. And another point I want to add is the appropriate solution to be there in the endpoint. Okay, for example, the XDR solution, right now we are mentioning about, that is a good quality solution. We need to implement that kind of solution. And one more thing, the logs, each and every endpoint logs to be monitored thoroughly, fully. Then only we need to protect our organizations. This is my point, sir.
Thank you. So, Mr. Awale, that you are from manufacturing, and OT security is very critical, as you mentioned, more than for you than for others. And you are also on a SAP environment, okay? So, what are the options for you or priorities for you in security in your specific domain?
Yeah, sure.
For this year.
Correct. So, just to tell you, I mean, recently we moved on the S4HANA, actually. And S4HANA comes with two ways. One is your on-prem solution. Second is Rise with SAP, which goes on the public cloud or private cloud, basically. So we chose private cloud because we were using ECC earlier. And that private cloud is also, again, a choice from the SAP given. So we chose Google, basically, so Google Cloud. Now, the advantage here, I would say, now coming on to that advantage, I think one plus point came is we changed our strategy also inside. Because when you move on the private cloud given by SAP, then of course the entire proprietary of the infrastructure as well as their basic security comes with the SAP itself. So the response, I'm so sorry. So the responsibility entirely lies with the OEM, which is very positive. And there are big OEMs like SAP, or it may be Salesforce, because they also have their SaaS platform. Now, manufacturing aim is to keep the IT lean. So when you keep the IT lean, your internal resources are less, and those resources should be highly skilled, who can add something rather than monitoring or maybe doing the routine job. So that happens when you adopt the strategy like go for the SaaS applications and look for the, as he rightly said, the endpoints basically. So look at the endpoints, and especially you talked about OT, which is a core area for the manufacturing. A lot of valuable systems are there, and normally they possess the closed network there. Okay, and that closed network has to have the good endpoint security, so that in-house threats, or you can say inside threats, can be avoided. So a good solution on the endpoints, which will have something predictive kind of thing or AI kind of thing, which will give certain solutions to avoid those threats. So that's how a little bit change in the strategy in the recent days, and AI has given a good vision to the manufacturing sector, and we definitely follow that. We try to adapt that. So that's how I think industry should go, basically.
One follow-up question to you. Since in OT, no, the talent shortage is much more acute than in IT. Does it make the role of AI more important? But equally, when a big OEM like ABB itself, which is supposed to give protection to others, got hacked, does it? Where does it leave us? Okay.
No, of course. I mean, see, risk and threat, I mean, never dies. I mean, if it dies, I think we all shouldn't be here, in fact.
You said SAP will take care. No, then
No, of course, they are bigger than us.
ABB was a victim itself.
Of course, of course. There are examples, in fact. But if you see on the other side, the small-scale industries or mid-scale industries, they have also, got ample of threats during last 3 years, I would say. If you take the analysis, I think more than 3,000 manufacturing industries has got a hit of ransomware, which is a big number today. And tomorrow, I think it could raise also. I mean, like we adopt AI to defense on the cyber attacks. Of course, attackers or hackers, they also use AI to attack. So it's a algorithm fight, I would say, from both the sides. But you rely on the OEM because they have larger skills, they have larger setup, and they, of course, I mean, do good or do well than you, simply. So that's the only thing.
Good. Come to Amey. See, we hear from so many sources that managements, how they approach cybersecurity itself, probably in many cases not adequate enough because the awareness at CEO board level, probably there's a lot more to be done. Okay. So when that's the case with baseline cybersecurity, how are managements going to look at, forget the CISO, okay, I'm asking about the managements, how are they going to approach AI in cybersecurity, how supportive will they be? And it could be also other way, they will say ChatGPT can do everything, okay. They may trivialize it also, okay. So how do you see it?
Cool. So in few of my, different presentations of awareness, that is one of my favorite slide, right? Board's responsibility towards cybersecurity, right? It's good to have one of the member having understanding of IT or security in that. If they have even external board member coming into that, a consultant coming and joining that, that helps a lot, first. Second, now it depends on how the CISOs or the CROs are going and conveying the message, right? And making them understand the impact to the business, right? Because I'm from forensic technology, we do ransomware investigation a lot, and I have seen budgets opens like anything when there is an incident. Okay, like anything. You just name the number, yes, signed, right? Within a day, I'm saying, that happens, right? So that message has to go to the board members, and that awareness should be keep on giving with the numbers. There are a lot of numbers available. There are a lot of penalties coming. Regulation are talking about penalties also. Certain is so much of proactive right nowadays, right? So all those should be conveyed to them in a nice manner, in a regular manner. That is one of the objective. Third is the incident response, right? I mean, first thing anyone wants to do from a business perspective is the business continuity and incident response, right? Security will keep on growing, and it has to be, right? But from incident response point of view, they should be aware, okay, if there is an incident and what is their role, what they need to do. That's where the tabletop exercise, war games will help a lot. That they also participate into that. Probably they will not participate for 24 hours, but they will participate for 1 hour of their session. And we'll actually ask them, within the cyber war game, what are you going to do? This is your website got hacked. Your video is getting played there with your face. How are you going to react to that? What are you going to do next, right after this, right? That's where they will get involved. And you need to buy their time for all those things. If you go with the paper of, 1,000-page report saying this is by someone and we need to do this, I need multi-million rupees or dollars for this, probably they will not allow unless and until they really understand the impact. That is where I feel that's how to get the budget. And that was my favorite question earlier when I used to sit last bench. I used to ask this to all the CISOs every time, how do you get the budget, right? What is the formula? So this is something keep on doing. A regular awareness session will also help. And if we talk about autonomous cyber AI, one thing we should tell the board as well is that attackers are 40 to 50% faster to weaponize the vulnerabilities than the defenders are mitigating that, right? That message should go to them that even they are using AI/ML. They are using chatbots, they are using different botnets activities nowadays. If you see, I saw one of the posts, like there was like a magic quadrant for ransomware as a service, and Logbit 3.0 was the topper. Okay, I mean, I can share that separately offline, but that is something I saw. That's how the world is going on the other side, on the dark side, right? And they are not aware about it. That's what we need to convey to them, I believe.
Now, how do you go about this journey? See, when I'm talking of significant investments you're making in cybersecurity, in AI, there's a buy approach and there's a build approach also. There's a lot you can do through buy. But when you're going to go on the buy route, many vendors, top names are there, but it's not an apples to apple comparison, right? And it's a form of differentiator also. And private companies can probably justify to the management, I'm going with this because I see value. But maybe, other organizations may require competitive bidding. So how would you approach when it is intrinsically not apples to apples?
I would like to start and then others can weigh in. So let me touch upon the management reporting, which my friend have already touched upon. Cybersecurity is complex, right? I mean, let's say we also take little time to understand what's the output of XDRs or SOAR capabilities of the world, right? Over the period of time, we understand that this is important. However, the management will only understand numbers, right? So if you tell them saying that the sales is like 21% last year and 33% this year, I mean, that's a clear demarcation of 12% hike. However, in cybersecurity, you'll never be able to tell whether we are good or bad, right? Every second year, we say that the other project, what we have done, was wrong, right? This year, this project is right. This new investment needs to be done. So the idea is, show them the red picture always. I mean, that's what even me and my team also does that. Okay, show them the real picture, saying that, okay, look, we are bad at vulnerabilities. Tell me one organization where the vulnerability is less than 10,000. I mean, huge number is always there forever. By the time you touch upon or close the points, the other's point will open, right? So management reporting is very essential, and I'm very keen that, okay, let's say, even I talk to the management for budget and everything. Technically, I show them our real picture, saying that, look, we're bad. We are definitely in bad situation. That's where they come with you. Technically, initially, when you represent them, they'll say that this is your problem. I mean, I don't really care. You do whatever you want. However, while you onboard them with your difficult journey, technically, they will be with you. Second, while you approach them with all the numbers, specifically numbers with different products, that really helps. Rather than probably technical jargons of dark web or AI or ML kind of capabilities, the numbers helps for all the approvals.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Ninath?
Yeah, in fact, just to kind of touch base, I'll give you a different perspective from the management standpoint as such, and you also asked about adoption, right? So from the adoption standpoint, many of the organizations, rather, they tend not to spend on cybersecurity tools because there is no outright, current, factual, accurate returns, right? Now, how does one go about sort of convincing the board? And by the way, in fact, nowadays, one good thing which is happening is the CISOs also have a seat on the board as well. And that's another reason why they are kind of coming into the mainstream, right? Because of the advent of several of the cyber attacks which are happening. That has made CISOs sort of profile and job very, very easy. Now, coming back to the earlier sort of point wherein organizations don't make spends on cyber security tools, I would in fact go to the extent of saying organizations certainly need to look into it and make those spends. And they should look at as investments rather than expenditure. The reason behind this is the advantages and benefits of implementing cybersecurity tools or even AI in cybersecurity far, far outweigh the spends or expenditure that organizations would do in the short term. In the long term, it definitely helps. And now with almost probably millions of attacks happening on several systems across the globe, I think it is, I'm sure the organizations, the head honchos in the organizations, they already know what is going on and where the investments need to go. Having said that, from the adoption standpoint, there are following sort of elements that I would recommend in terms of how should organizations go on adopting the cybersecurity tools and their postures as well. The first being automate as much as possible, automate the menial task, repetitive task, right? That is going to free up your bandwidth, your team's bandwidths, you know. It's going to augment the team's efficiency and effectiveness. It's not going to replace them, but then it's going to augment them as well, so that they are freed, the time and bandwidth is freed in focusing on more practical priority items and activities. So that's one of the reasons why adoption of cybersecurity tools and AI is very, very important within cybersecurity. The second being pinpointing potential vulnerabilities. We know there are vulnerabilities across. There are known vulnerabilities, but we now are sort of looking at the unknown vulnerabilities, and that is where the adoption of AI and cybersecurity comes into picture. If we want to know the unknown, and we have to then we have to invest in the AI and cybersecurity. That is one of the ways, one of the very important and essential ways to protect and prevent our landscape as well from cyber attacks. And the third being obviously optimizing the existing best practices. Many of the organizations, whilst they embark on their journey for ensuring their cybersecurity tools are in place, risk is covered, they ignore the best practices as well. So, I mean, the best practices, it might be as small as malware protection or probably incident responses, making sure that your analysis of your existing past records are available, dashboards are monitored. These are all best practices which need to be adopted, implemented, and on top of that, you run the AI to augment this entire activity. So it's a threefold plan. However, it is a joint responsibility of the security teams, including the CISOs and CROs, along with the management and the board, to ensure that your landscape, organization's landscape as far as the security posture is concerned, it's protected and obviously taken forward.
Okay. I would like to ask Mr. Shamir and Mr. Awale that, see, investment in AI also is not it's unmitigated or unalloyed good. There are significant risks in that also. So how are you sure that your investment decisions, it's a bet ultimately, it could boomerang also, or it may not yield the. So how are you going to bet on the right AI? Looking at the brand, SAP, Amazon is one part, but a lot of innovation may come from smaller, lesser known, but you don't know the risks also. So how will you be very cautious, or how will you approach this?
No, of course, I mean, it's purely, a technical call actually. And I think today.
And how will you convince your management,
But honestly, I would say, today's era, there is no need to convince the management also, because those days, have passed. Earlier management was, not willing to invest on the technology, basically, like IT, for example, or security was, an unknown factor also. If you go back 15 years or 10 years, then what is security is the first question. There is only one security at the gate. So in IT, what security and all. But today, I think the perspective, percolates down. So for example, management asks, what you are going to do in the security? Or I want this, I want that. My endpoint devices has to be, quite well protected. For example, mobile devices. Each executive or a management team member utilizing his device for Teams call or some data sending or some email sending and all. So he's worried on the data also, he's worried on the communication also. So how those devices, can be controlled. So, and they understand. Every management, element is, well trained on today's era, on today's IT, and they want, in fact. Now it's CISO or, CIO's call, how to, implement it, or how to go for the right technologies and make the most of the benefits. See, investment in the AI is, is like a gamble, in fact, okay? You have to trust on the product itself. See, companies can come and say, this is our product, and it has, zero trust or XYZ and that. So you have to, trust on that. You have to analyze that, first of all. You have to take certain pilot examples also, run it on the sample basis for 3 months, see the results, and then invest on the right technology. And that can be one approach from the CISO or CIO. Same thing, I think, in my sector, I would say, in manufacturing or chemical manufacturing sector, we adopt the same thing. So we are focusing on the endpoint security. We are focusing on the all outbreaks and control of those outbreaks. Today, the technology is in place. We have right firewalls in place. We have right EDRs, endpoint softwares also. But what is the best in the market? That continuous search is always on. And we evaluate one vendor in fortnight basis, okay, irrespective of what we buy. But we evaluate that. Why we evaluate? Because we learn from that. We learn the market. We learn the threats also. A lot of examples, comes from the vendors itself. They make you learn. It's not like they threat you, but they make you learn, in fact. And you learn, you adopt, simply. And that could be, the right way to approach today.
How about you, Mr. Shamir? Okay.
I totally agree with Ajay. I want to answer this question in a different way. Okay, the AI ML technology is available to all of us. Okay, similarly, the same technology is available to cyber criminals. They are, of course, way ahead of us. They are running behind us earlier. Now they are running far front of us. Okay, they are having all the tools, and the money is also there. Some kind of a state-sponsored hackers groups are right now available. They want to target some industry, some country. They will do that particular thing. We need to protect ourselves. And in the case of country like our country, India, actually there are n number of organizations are there. Of course, there are some kind of organization are tightly regulated, and there are some sectors are there. For example, I was earlier talking about him. He's talking about the pharma industry and the health industry that is not at all regulated. In the case of regulation is there, and we have getting enough guidelines, directions, and we are all implemented, then of course we have a reasonable assurance. But in the case of unregulated entities or organizations, there are problems are still there. We need to address that particular thing. And one more point I want to add is the configurations. That is a major part. Okay, we have implemented X number of solutions. How this particular solution is configured? Is that particular solutions are implemented according to our environment, according to our needs? We need to double check that particular thing. Then only our system will be secure. This is the point I want to answer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, Amey, when it comes to BFSI and say fintech, they would like to be ahead of their competitors, and it's a hyper-competitive market. So how would you advise making investments in AI and cybersecurity? How do you, you can't just stick to some known options only.
Sure. We all heard about no-code, low-code things coming up, booming a lot, right? And that's where the adoption will be very quick for them, right? If they want to invest in that. And that will be very helpful because that is something they don't want something to be built from scratch, right? What they want to just automate some of their different processes internally, right? AI/ML will keep on helping in their operations, which are maybe mostly with the customer facing, right? Will help a lot. From internal processes also, they need to automate a lot of things, which is required because we do see some of the tedious jobs they are doing. I'll say, give you an example. They are facing RBI audit, for example. There'll be a pre and after effect as well, and right, and they will be mostly, I believe, these people also can add to that. There are a lot of strain involves every year to face those audits. So how they can take care of that, automate that, and some of the stuff will be ready when there is an audit, and they can show it to them, right? That was something they should be investing and automating from compliance point of view to be on the right side of the law, right? And of course, we know that they keep on exploring different tools, even known to unknown different tools, and companies reach out to the BFSI sector and try to take the credentials from them, right? That we are the one using the banks. That's what is happening in the industry as well, right? My suggestion, irrespective of the tool, right, or whatever it is, it has to be evaluated thoroughly by the security team or the InfoSec team who is buying that. And that, I think that's what is happening from a decade itself. And now that also needs some more checks like artificial intelligence, threat intelligence on top of that. I'm taking this from XYZ, and there will be a threat intelligence coming by for me about a company as well, right? Different checks as to done because we only think from the security point of view. Without naming some of the companies, 3 years back, okay, one of the company was from BFSI only. They were trying to have a tie-up with some of the company, okay? Other vendor was trying to reach out to them, okay? Not from India. They were trying to reach out to them continuously, and They were trying to collaborate with them for some services. Later they refused. After 6 months, they came up with saying, okay, we have your data, okay, and it will be on dark web. And they tried to indirectly threaten the company and try to get the services. We'll help you with the proactive actions. It was like a ransom, right? A ransomware kind of thing. Not ransomware, but it's kind of a ransom they were asking. So that's what happens. So you have to select opt where you're giving data to with you're integrating. Sometimes you do a POC and give the data like that, allow them to sit inside and do the stuff. You have to be very careful because you are handling PI, PHI data as well. That's why you have to be very careful selecting the vendors, products, but definitely you should evaluate everything from all the angles. And from there, the investment should be in that angle. As I say, 90% is something they may be targeting by 2025 to automate all of their processes. And AML, they definitely have to invest in low-code, no-code platform. I don't know about Metaverse. We'll see Metaverse in future that will go on VR code, and I'll say we'll do the KYC. That may happen.
I would like to ask Fal and Ninad. See, most of the conversation has been, if you see people, process, technology, the focus has been on the technology layer. Do you see any potential on the other layers also, on the process and the people side in cybersecurity?
I would like to touch upon, since we are running out of time, I would like to touch upon two areas. One is the maturity model of AI and ML. It's a kind of dream which we are living today, but probably we are thinking that after, let's say, a year or 2 years, we'll get results. I mean, that's a dream world. Two, we also face the problem of skill set, saying that, let's say if there's a jazzy tool of AI and ML, but if let's say a team is not capable of reading it, I'm fortunate enough that I have a good team. However, the idea is, the latest thing, the market is happening, let's say we get a lot of Israel products or US products in our country, how to read it? I mean, it's not that easy. Understanding only the basics also takes a little while. And by the time we learn all these tactics or understanding of the graphs and everything, the product is already gone, right? So I think that is something which is ever-changing era from a maturity model as well as a skill set issue.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to him in terms of people, processes can be delivered, processes can also be sort of monitored and tweaked and evolved as well. But when it comes to people, it's a different ballgame, We generally know, and it has been said multiple times in multiple forums, that people are the weakest link as compared to as far as the security is concerned, right? So it is important, it is essential for us to ensure that awareness is appropriately kind of delivered. Our own people, organization people, they know what cyber threats are and how do we equip them to understand what to use, what not to use, where to click, where not to click, and so on and so forth, right? So people element is very, very important. We cannot ignore it. In fact, it is commonly said, there's a lot of statistics which are also published globally, that more than 50% of all threats are because of people, That's why the insider threats come into picture. And there is somebody who is kind of clicked on a link and it just kind of proliferates in the entire network as such, right? So that is very important. So spend some time, and this is a recommendation to a lot of teams here, wherein spend some time, important time, more time on educating, spreading awareness about the cybersecurity. It will be time well invested rather than wasted, So that is very, 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 very important as such. Just also wanted to add, I know we are running short of time, just wanted to add on what Amey mentioned, So is there any specific tool which is available for AI and cybersecurity, and what tools should organization go in for? There really is no silver bullet there, and there is no such tool which is available, which is be-all, end-all solution for all your problems and challenges. I would in fact equate it to, see, there are Superman, there is Batman, there is Avengers, there is Tarzan, there is so many of these. In fact, in today's session, we have like 16 providers out there, partners outside who are vying for your business as well, right? They're all into the security measures. So there is no such thing which there's no one solution. So in fact, what one needs to do, organizations need to kind of get into the basics in terms of understand what is the data that they're trying to protect. what is the kind of, whether it's BFSI, it's financial data, when it comes to healthcare, it is health data, when it comes to manufacturing, is it something else, the beverages, it's like the formulas that they protect. So once you understand that what is that you need to protect, then in order to protect that, then target specific tools which will enable you and help you to protect that kind of data and information. It doesn't make sense for us to kind of invest millions of dollars and not getting the worth or value of protecting what we want to protect. There's no point in protecting what you don't want to protect, right? So just wanted to kind of leave with this particular thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, I think before we are thrown out, let's wind up ourselves. Okay. And so as a closing statement, I would like to say that we all keep hearing about Israel as a great cybersecurity ecosystem. But I see no reason why India can also collaborate, and probably, at least in AI, in cybersecurity, we can compete or leapfrog, provided there is a good co-creation between customer organizations, innovators, provider and consumer. So I think all you organizations should support that and build good AI for India and for the world. Okay. And in terms of the process level, I wanted to bring to your notice probably something NIST, OSCAL, Open Securities Control Automation Language, is a good way to make a beginning on the process level for automation and AI. Okay. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you so much, panel members. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the autonomous cyber, AI and ML planning, revolutionizing the cyber defense. Now I would request the panel members to kindly be on stage, and I would like to call on stage Mr. Nilesh Roy, Vice President Technology from SM Networks, to kindly do the honors. Nilesh, if you could kindly do the honors of felicitating this wonderful panel. So we are a little short on time, so I request you humbly if you could take the question with the panel, because it's already a little over time. I beg your pardon, sir. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. If you agree, no problem. Can we have a mic, please? Yeah, can we have the mic, please? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Arjun, for an opportunity, though he was brushing me off. And this question is because, the subject of AI ML is quite a buzzword nowadays. And a question to the panelists, because I can't get all of them in the lunch break. The question is whether or not we'll go the AI way. That's not a discussion point, because we will go that way one day or the other. But when that question gets posed to me in my own organization, and they are wanting to know as a CISO, what am I doing about AI? Am I looking at something in the emerging industry? And am I looking at it? I told them that, and I want to know from you whether I'm right or wrong there. I said, at the moment, our processes have just started setting in. Let the processes get matured enough and rigorous enough for them to really start taking shape and all, and then get the outcome. For me to really put them onto the AI bandwagon, it is a bit premature for me to think of it, but yes, I'm keeping my ears and eyes open to know what is emerging and how I can leverage it. But today is not the right time for me to get into AI, because the maturity of an existing processes in the IS industry has to be very rigorous. Because that itself, like if you ask a CIO, give me an application list or an inventory list, he will go on updating the Excel sheet even today. In this world, is AI a right time to jump in, or should we do the maturity of an organization, keep a ear and eye open, and then decide an appropriate time to jump there?
Okay, in the interest of time, I'll answer that question. I would recommend that regulated industries, mature organizations can play a wait and watch and allow the well-funded private equity venture capital guys to blow the money and make the mistakes, and we learn from them.
Thank you for a nice answer.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So I think Nileshji is here to do the felicitation. So we'll start with Mr. Shamir TK. Please, sir. A big round of applause to Shamirji for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Awale Ajay. A big round of applause to Awaleji for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next, we have is Mr. Ghancha from DSP Mutual Fund. A big round of applause to Fal for his wonderful contribution. Moving next, Mr. Ninad Raje A big round of applause to Ninadji for his wonderful contribution in the panel. Moving next to Mr. Amey, Subhash, Lakeshri. A big round of applause to Amey for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. And our honorable moderator, Mr. Arjun Bhaskaran. A big round of applause to Arjunji for his wonderful contribution and also wonderfully moderating the panel session. Would request honorable panel members to kindly come forward for a group photograph, and Nileshji, if you could also please join them. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, wonderful panel of experts talking on autonomous cyber, AI and ML, revolutionizing the cyber defense. Thank you so much, honorable panel members, for your valuable contribution. And thank you so much, Nileshji, for doing the honors of felicitating this panel.